Just real quick, as people are coming in, if you need anything, you can chat Nicole through Zoom for any back-end issues. We'll go ahead and wait just a couple of minutes as this is the first session, so we give people a little bit more time to navigate the website and join the session. All right, so we'll go ahead and begin. I just wanted to let everyone know that if you haven't followed us already on Facebook and LinkedIn at the National Jurist, that would be great. You can get more information about other events that we'll be having and just some material that we put there. And also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, George Mason University, Antonin Scalia Law School, Golden Gate University, University of Houston Law School, and Wake Forest University. I'll do a quick introduction of our panelists, but they'll give you a little bit more detail because it'll sound best coming from them. First, we have Amber Featherstone, Director of International Graduate Programs at Wake Forest University of Law, Paulette Palafox, Associate Dean of Admissions at Golden Gate University School of Law, Professor Eric Zaks, Faculty Director, LL.M, Wayne State University Law School, Brian Benison, Director of Graduate Admissions, Antonin Scalia Law School, George Mason University, Daniel Powell, Associate Dean of Online Programs at Alabama University School of Law. So I'll go ahead and turn the time over to Amber, who will be moderating this session, and the panelists to talk a little bit more about themselves.
Great, thank you, Sophia. So again, welcome everybody. The way that we're going to run our presentation today is first, each of us is just going to give you a little bit more information about our schools and the programs that we offer. And then we're going to do Q&A. And we really encourage attendees to chat us with questions. You can just put your question in the chat and I'll be watching that to ask the panelists today. So to get started, I'm going to start with Paulette Palafox at Golden State University, if you want to give us a little introduction.
Sure. My name is Paulette. I'm the admissions dean at Golden Gate University School of Law in the heart of San Francisco. We're right in the financial district. So number one, a lot of people are very interested in coming to San Francisco because it's such a diverse and robust community. We have been around since 1901. So though you may not have heard of us, we really are woven into the fabric of the Bay Area, California, and we have many attorneys across the US as well. We actually have 6 different LLM programs and 1 S.J.D. Most of our students who tend to be from the US attorneys really do gravitate towards our tax program. We have a tax LLM that's very significantly known across the US. We're always, rated very highly, at least in California. And we're the only school that has an accredited LLM program in estate planning, trust, and probate. So that's really exciting for us as well. And then sometimes students want to do both. So we actually have the dual LLM. Other students who gravitate towards some of our other LLM programs, who usually are internationally educated lawyers, are focused on environmental law, international and comparative law, US legal studies, and environmental law. So those are really great. And then of course, the other program we have is a research doctorate, which is the S.J.D. And that's focused in comparative law as well. So there are really varying areas that you can focus on depending on your own experiences and academic interests and what you'd like to pursue. One example is one of our students that just graduated, worked for the Ministry of Finance in Cambodia and wanted to do a comparison in tax. And so did that international comparative law tax and wrote about a 200-page thesis. Did a lot of really deep digging research to then utilize when he went back to the ministry in Cambodia. So it's pretty significant. Obviously, it takes a little bit longer than the traditional LLM, which is one program. The other great thing about our programs is that if you do have some academic experience in some areas like tax, you can transfer up to 12 units. So then you only really need one full semester left to finish an LLM. So I'm happy to answer more questions about the Bay Area and our programs. And thank you for having me here today.
Thanks, Paulette. Next, we'll go to Brian at George Mason.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today. Like Amber said, my name is Brian Bennison. I'm the Director of Graduate Admissions here at Scalia Law near Washington, D.C. We're about 20 minutes outside D.C. proper over in Arlington, Virginia. We have 5 LLM programs. Of those, 4 of them are for those who are really in the U.S. Are more for domestically trained lawyers. The program that I think I find the coolest is our Cyber Intelligence and National Security LLM, which can be done completely remotely, or you can come to campus if you want to do that program. We also have our Global Antitrust LLM, which kind of speaks to the history of the law school. We've always had kind of a tie to economics. George Mason University won 2 Nobel Prizes in economics about in 1990 and then again in 2000. And so the law school really takes that to heart as part of our legal jurisprudence philosophy. And every lawyer who comes through here does economics for lawyers as part of their training, because we do really consider it important. For those of you who are interested in moving into academia, our Law and Economics LLM is really designed to kind of give you that push to get you into the next stage of teaching and studying at a law school and doing research working for a law school. And then finally, we also have an intellectual property LLM, which is very, very internationally focused. They do a summer program every year that's just phenomenal, that brings in people from all around the world. I really do quite enjoy it. And then the last program that I want to speak about is our brand new Flex LLM program. And that's really, if you are an internationally barred attorney and you want to sit for a bar exam in DC, our Flex LLM is 100% remote. It includes a bar prep course at no additional cost. And it is designed to only focus on the subject bar credits for the DC bar exam. So we get you in and we get you set up so that you can go sit for a bar exam in DC.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Next, we'll go to Daniel Powell at Alabama. Oh, Daniel, I think you're on mute.
You would think I would remember that by now after COVID, but still slow on that. My name is Dan Powell. I'm the Associate Dean for Graduate Law Programs at the University of Alabama School of Law. We offer online LLM, so we have 2. One is in taxation. The other one really is a part of our taxation program with offering a concentration in business transactional law. We do also offer a Jurist Masters if there are any non-lawyers out there. Our international LLM is not online, so we do have a residence program as well. I'm here to speak mainly about the domestic programs and answer any questions you have about them. I think what makes our programs a little unique is that we have always been distance programs. So I think a lot of schools have a residence program. So an opportunity to offer those as well remotely. Our program began in the mid-70s as really a distance program, and that the professors drove around the state in the Southeast taking the tax program to students. And then we evolved into video conferencing technology throughout the Southeast. And then I think we were one of the first ones to go online when Interact interactivity became available through the internet. So we don't have classes here in the building. We use the technology that now everybody's familiar with, that's live and interactive. So students are in class, asking questions when they have them and watching recordings and things. So the LLM in tax usually takes students about 2 years. You can do it in 1 or as many as 6, similarly with our business transactions program. So I think that's it. So, any questions, please feel free to ask. We kind of stay competitively priced as well.
Thanks, Dan. All right, next we'll go to Eric at Wayne State.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Zaks. I'm a professor at Wayne State University Law School in Detroit. I'm also currently the faculty director for the LLM program. We offer an LLM in 3 different majors, corporate and finance, tax, and rightfully so, being in Detroit, labor and employment law with union activity and so on. So our program, Wayne State University Law School, has long been a leader in Michigan business law area. We have 11,000 alumni, I think over 75% of whom practice in Michigan. We populate the business bar and the tax bar with a very practice-minded orientation. Our professors are trained in their field, not just from a theoretical standpoint, but really designed to give graduates the ability to obtain careers and really make them as productive as possible. One thing I think that has we've moved towards that really our students have found worthwhile is we've really moved towards more of a partnership model with the students rather than law schools historically have been pretty passive in terms of their engagement with students with respect to course selection, career development, writing development, and particularly so just as an example, we meet with every LLM student probably 6 to 10 times a semester, providing counseling from everything from how's it's going to course selection to what career development, who you might use for a faculty advisor for your thesis. For our international students, many of whom have never taken a law school exam in the US, where the grading can be quite differently. I'm in the middle of grading practice ungraded exams for every one of our international students, and then doing follow-ups on a one-on-one basis to provide feedback so that their first experience with the domestic exams is not a graded one, as we all remember from our 1L year. So really it's a hands-on, one-on-one approach designed to set students up for success, whether they're planning on practicing in Michigan or in other states. We work with them closely to make sure they're ready to go, and happy to answer any questions as everyone else. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Eric. And my name again is Amber Featherstone. I'm the Director of International and Graduate Programs at Wake Forest University School of Law. We're located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is a small and beautiful city on the western side of the state of North Carolina. Here at Wake, we have one of the longest running foreign LLM programs in the country. And so we bring in international lawyers from all over the world to study an LLM that is specialized in their area of law. So we allow students to specialize and to build their own specialization just to ensure that they can get the most out of their 1 year of study with us. Our LLMs are fully integrated into our law school, so they take classes with our Jurist Doctor students. And we also provide our LLMs with a lot of additional support, such as individual faculty advisors and JD mentors. We also offer the S.J.D program, which again is focused on international attorneys who are looking to move into academia when they return to their home country. Through this program, our students work one-on-one with a faculty advisor, where they will dive deeply into a research topic to complete and defend a dissertation in that area. And then also here at Wake Forest, we offer an online Master of Studies in Law program for non-lawyers. And so this is a completely asynchronous online program for working professionals who need to learn how to navigate the law, but don't need to know how to practice it in order to do their jobs. And so again, thank you to all of the schools. We will all be available this afternoon. And so we hope that you'll stop by our individual booths to talk with us a little bit more. So we're going to get started now. And again, attendees, please feel free to put questions in the chat. I'll be watching that and we'll direct those to the panelists. But to get us going, my first question for the panel is, what do you think the right kind of student for an LLM program is? Can you describe that for us?
Yeah, I'll say I really think that the student that we're looking for LLMs are students who really have a good idea of how an LLM is going to contribute to that next phase of their career. You know, a lot of times I think the problem that students have, that lawyers have who are looking to get an LLM is the return on investment. What is this going to do for me that's going to take me to that next phase? And that should be a conversation that we have. And it's one that I always have throughout the admission process with anybody who's looking to do an LLM is, what is your plan to do next with this? Are you looking for additional career support? Are you looking to move into the national security field? Are you looking to work in corporate compliance? What is your plan with this? And how does this fit into your plan? If you have a clear plan for that, that's the student that I really want to have.
I would echo that. We have that same discussion, and frankly, there are some students who just haven't thought it through, so they're not really ready for the program, and we tell them that, and they until you really have an idea, because it is considerable time and time and expense, and we want to make sure we know upfront what is your goal, and it helps us if you do have a goal. Then we can figure out making sure the courses are going to line up correctly, making sure the bar prep is going to line up correctly, and the sooner we know what your goals are, the easier it is. So students who have really thought about it really as a professional ahead of time, it really does make a difference, as Brian said.
Yeah. Seems to be the universal response that we all use with our students as well. I tell my students, having taught legal writing a long time ago, when they ask me, the threshold question is, should you get the LLM? And then the question there is, well, just like the answer to every law school exam, it depends, right? And the question is, upon what does it depend? When is it, as you both said, when is it a value add? And for the JDs, I like to share with them, I really think a LLM can be valuable in two ways. One as a credential, and the second way is a skill set. If you Google, should I get an LLM? You'll find a lot of negative responses from law firms that say, look, we don't really care about LLMs. We don't give associates more money because they have an LLM. I will say a lot of times they add, unless it's in something like tax. So I think if I can unpack what's going on there, at least in my view, is it's not that they don't care about that experience that you're bringing to the table, but the question is, how does it bring value? If you have a skill set where you can, bill, again, we look at our transactional program, and you can, do M&A documents, you can, advise choice of entity, then they can bill you for that, and that's attractive. On the other side, does it help me just to put the credential on my resume? I don't think it does necessarily, unless it is a specified area. Like, for example, as I'll tell our students, if you put LLM and tax on your resume, you're more likely to get a job than your classmates. But don't forget, it's going to be in tax. I mean, it sounds like a silly thing to say, but some of them think, well, yeah, this will help me get a job. I'll have a competitive advantage over my classmates who just have a JD, and then I'll transition. But really, they're looking for that specific skill set. So, I think your question is, and this is the student we're looking at too, who's thought through this, is there a specific skill set that's going to help my current practice or my plans for practice, or, is the credential going to help me find a job? And therefore, this is a subject area I'm interested in. I think a very important question before you invest the time and money.
I'll just add in one quick thing, because I agree with what everyone has said, in that I think that with some LLM programs, you navigate the reason why and the value added. But at least for us, because so many of our students are seeing like a niche market in terms of estate planning, probate, and trust, they're really knowing that to move into that field, which is really growing exponentially, right? Because of generational wealth transfer and so on and so forth that's happening at the moment, they need that experience. So now they're looking at what are the specific classes that will help me in that. And so when they so when you're looking to then transition or add on, or, or my colleagues are saying, I think those are some of the reasons why people jump into the LLM, but at least for us, people are understanding that market. So you have to look at the markets and your interests as well.
Great. So kind of in line with this, can you all give us a little understanding of the difference between an online LLM or graduate law degree program and a residential one? And, what are the pros and cons, benefits, that sort of thing?
We can go backwards and I'll jump in. So most of the time, the students who participate in our residential programs are international students, and they want to come in, do their LLM. We take up to 12 units of transfer, but let's just say most of the LLM programs are 1 year. They know they'll come in from August through May, finish, get out. And so those are most of the students. For our online programs that do focus on the tax and estate planning areas, it's more helpful for them because they can continue to work and take a part-time, program and finish in so much amount of time. And it's just easier access. As we all now know we can work from home and telecommute and things like that. So I think sort of those are the differences. We don't do for our school online programs for the international students because part of the attraction is going to learn in a new place. So I think that for us, that's how it splits the difference, at least here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. In our little orientation speech, we always say, and remember, I'm saying this as someone in charge of online programs, but if you're doing it online, you're doing it the harder way. Not so much anymore, but most of the online students are working, they're juggling family and work obligations. And if you can give up everything that you're doing and you've got the money and the time to go to a residence program and just do that, it's going to be easier. Again, we don't offer that, but some of these the other schools do. If you're looking at the online, I think there are things to consider too. What makes a good online program. One of the advantages I think we have at Alabama as being only a distance program is we're able to hire professors and practitioners from all across the country. So it's not just faculty at Alabama and the students as well. So we got students and faculty coming from different places, but what kind of online program is the school offering? Are they taking their residence classes and are they just recording everybody that's there and then putting it on the website for you this is probably inappropriate phrase nowadays, but redheaded stepchild where, you're our extra income. Hopefully we're seeing less and less of that now. But I would advise you, if you're looking at an online program, to be sure the level of live interactivity is available, whether that's, a professor's online hours, whether it's reaching out to the professors by, phone calls, the library resources. You should have the same resources available to you as an online student that you do as a resident. And some schools do it well and some don't. So I just, suggest that you look at that with great scrutiny.
Just a quick note. Yeah, we just to follow up on that, I would strongly encourage you to focus on that sort of level. We've actually made the decision at this point not to offer online for some of the reasons that you have to do it effectively, and we want our LLM students incorporated into the general JD pool completely. Same level of services, same classes, and so on. So we really, at this point, we're focused on maintaining that integration. And I think if you are looking at an online approach, you need to make sure it's being done effectively, as Daniel outlined.
Yeah, just to build on that, Daniel's point, I think, is bang on. You have to think about how you're going to engage and include those students in your classroom. That was one of the first things we did when we were building out the Flex and the cyber intelligence LLMs online, is we decided we have to have a mix of asynchronous and synchronous. It can't just be about convenience. It has to be about classroom experience, because you have to think about when you're in the classroom, that's how you're building your connections. That's how you're building your network. That's how you're connecting with your professors. That's an important part of the experience. So you have to make sure that whatever your online program is that you're getting the chance to take advantage of some of those experiences.
Great. So one question we've received is a question about explaining the difference between, or I guess, how does an LLM differ for a US student versus an international student? And we know there's two pathways to doing an LLM, and it all involves the first degree in law. So do you guys want to talk about the difference between the two? Paula, I know you talked a little bit about why international students tend to come to the US for this program, but maybe we can talk a little bit more about why an LLM or an S.J.D would be helpful for domestic students as well.
Sure. I think Daniel did talk a little bit more about why I think the LLM is important for domestic students. But the nice thing, like I was indicating before, you have to talk to the various law schools, because if you're educated in the US and you have your JD from an ABA law school, then it's possible you can transfer some units in if they allow you to do that. Because a lot of time, like you were saying, Amber, some of our curricula are LLM courses sort of tied into upper division JD courses, right? So for students who are coming from, let's say they have zero environmental law experience, but they have a US JD, obviously you're probably going to take the full, 24 unit environmental law. But, like our JD students at Golden Gate can take up to 12 units in tax law. So they only need one additional semester to finish. So I think in terms of the domestic versus international, the main difference is that we are mostly unlikely to accept any transfer units from like an LL.B program. If that is where you have earned your law degree, then you have to do the full program. So those are fundamentally the differences, but I think the courses, the foundational courses and the curricula are the same, at least at our school.
And as you guys are thinking through this question, can you also talk about why an LLM would be helpful for a US attorney, for someone who did complete their Jurist Doctor at an ABA approved law school?
Yeah, I think we touched on this a little bit, but I do think you need to be careful to make sure that it is. I mean, I guess one argument is, why wouldn't it ever be? You're getting specialized training in a particular area, but a lot of lawyers still get that as effectively in practice, right? I mean, if I'm doing a lateral hire from one to a firm and the next, and somebody's been working, in a particular area for 5 or 10 years and doing great, I don't care that it comes with a credential or not. I can still bill for you. I know your work experience, et cetera. So in what instance is the LLM itself specifically helpful? And I think part of it may depend on the competitive market, right? If you're in a place like, DC or somewhere, big city, Chicago, where, 50 tax LLMs or 50 tax lawyers are applying for the same job, then it helps. And we've seen that certainly in the area of tax. You need an LLM. As these other areas develop, it may be the same is true in them as well. But, I don't look at the credential, I guess, and its value is my response.
Might I add one more quick thing, just to sort of piggyback on what Daniel is saying, is if you're wanting to expand your network, we know networking is super important when it comes to obviously building relationships, getting your name out there. So that's another reason that can be really beneficial to you furthering your education, is the expansion of your network based on the area in which you're earning your LLM. So if you're from, wherever, Illinois, and then you come to California, you go to Alabama, that's an expansion of your network that's really important.
Yeah, I think we touched on this a little bit now, but Daniel's point about an LLM is not a great way to necessarily get yourself the job if you're looking to switch fields is really, it's well taken, unless you're in a situation where that school can really help you build a new network. If you're moving into a new city and you need to rebuild your network in that city, going back to law school can be really, really helpful with that. But you have to be really careful about the niche that you're picking. But really, I think the LLM really helps your career for domestic lawyers when you're already in that field and you need to get that next jump up. That's, the way your way to set yourself apart from others when you are competing within a firm where you're already working in that firm, that is where I think an LLM can really, really be helpful. We know for international lawyers, when you're looking to come to do an LLM, often you're looking to qualify for a bar exam. With domestic lawyers, you're not looking to qualify for a bar exam. And not all international lawyers can get barred using an LLM. So you have to be willing to do your research. But for domestic lawyers, that's how I would think about it.
One other point just on domestic students, we've talked a lot about credentialing and the job jumps, and I think that's absolutely true. We have students who graduate from Wayne State, but then they want to practice out east and they want to go into tax, and it's, yeah, do I advise them to get an LLM from Georgetown or NYU like all day long, and then they go and they get top jobs, and that's absolutely the step up that they need in the market from a credentialing standpoint. But I would also say though that it's all right if you're just interested in the area. So I have a student or two every year who, why are you doing this? And it's because they really want to do the deep dive. They like being in school. They want the ability to do a thesis. We have, they want to do directed studies. They want to have that experience, to have the time to think that maybe you don't have when you're in full-time practice. And I think that's perfectly acceptable, as well as a route. You just have to be, go in eyes wide open in terms of if you're looking at a field where it's not necessarily going to give you a leg up, you're cognizant of that. And again, so you're aware when you're doing it.
Yeah, I can add one other point to what Eric said, because I think it is important, especially as we're looking toward online, is that, I think initially when we started seeing the evolution of these online programs, we thought that, US News and World Rankings would determine where everybody went, right? Once whatever the school is, Yale or Harvard, offers online, then everybody else is crushed. What we're seeing is that that's not true. Even with online education, students are gravitating toward their geographical area, even though they don't have to. And I think that brings in y'all's point about networking, is that, be careful when you look at it online, because you miss a lot if you're just doing it for the credential. You're missing the networking and state specific law and other things as well. So sorry, go ahead.
Can I just put one other point? Sorry, I apologize, but just one other point is just looking at how cost effective it is. So looking at how affordable the degree is. So law firms, as someone mentioned earlier, may look askance at some of the degrees, but if you can make it cost effective. So we've started a matching program up to a limited amount. We'll match the scholarship or support provided by a law firm. Well, that makes it cost effective from both the associates, from the law firms standpoint, and that might make it more attractive, right? So you're just looking at, am I getting bang for my buck? Because sometimes it might make sense, but if it's really expensive, not going to give you a leg up, you've got to carefully consider that.
So similar to this thread that we're talking about right now is using these degrees for academia. So the specific question is, how would an LLM or an S.J.D help a person seeking a career in legal academia? Or is it even necessary if you already have a JD?
I'm happy to field this since I'm in the faculty committee meetings where we're hiring. It's a very competitive market. And I will say that increasingly we see students with multiple degrees, whether it's an LLM or an S.J.D or S.J.D or a PhD, multiple masters in cross-discipline, a lot of interdisciplinary work. But I would say, so can be very important, but it's a credentialing thing. So in terms of where you get your LLM from, it's extremely important in terms of the reputational effect of that.
I get that question too, and I have a similar answer. I mean, some people feel like, hey, I'm tired of practice and I want to get into teaching, and so maybe I'll use the LLM, and that's not necessarily the best answer. But we have some independent studies and things where we encourage students to write a paper and then develop that paper into a publishable piece. But as Eric said, it is so competitive that you need to have both the best credential you can get and the most publications that you can get, those two things together. Now, if you're just interested in perhaps teaching a course at your local community college or somewhere like that, then the LLM could give you the experience that makes you attractive. But if you're talking about, a job at a law school, you probably probably need to do the full show.
I think Amber touched upon this right at the beginning with explaining her S.J.D, and that a lot of foreign attorneys will want to gravitate toward that so that they can enter into legal academia in their home countries. I find that too the same at Golden Gate, and the S.J.D. I think that people are just, if they really want to take a deeper dive from an academic level, utilizing their legal experience and education, that really is different. And I think it's partially just interest in a particular subject. And so for our S.J.D, I think sometimes students are working in governmental agencies in different countries. And so they're utilizing that research to help, move through and push different initiatives. So it's tough because I don't think there are a lot of S.J.D programs in the US, and I don't think there are quite as many students enrolling in those programs as they would LLM, because it's shorter and just a different focus. So that's something to consider as well, just depending on how many more of those types of credentials you want, but really just in your own academic interest.
Yeah, and Paula, I'll jump off of that for just a minute, especially for the international lawyer population. We've talked about, why do an LLM, or how does it help you, or should you do it? And for that, it's really about specializing. It's about being able to go back to your firm in your home country or your company and to say, look, I'm an expert in US law or in international law or in international environmental law, whatever you decide to specialize in. And then the S.J.D for international lawyers, same thing. And, most countries do require a PhD level in order to become a faculty member at a law school. And so again, moving through the program in the United States not only gives you that credential, but it also gives you that experience of a different legal system. And I think Paulette mentioned earlier, a lot of S.J.Ds are comparative in their topics. So you're comparing maybe the law of your home country with the law in the United States or with international law. And again, those become publishable pieces of work that can put you on the map as well.
Yeah, just to build on that really quickly, the publication piece is, I think, the gateway into academia. You have to be able to publish in order to figure out how to publish, sometimes going back to school in order to do that, if you're going for the right program, if it's going to give you expertise in something that is really something you're passionate about and something that the school specializes in. I get 2 to 3 applicants every year for our law and economics LLM who are specifically looking to use it as a gateway into academia, because law and economics is what our law school is famous for. So, it's not a guaranteed pathway. Definitely academia for law schools is very, very competitive. But if you're looking for a gateway in to figure out how to get onto research projects, how to start publishing, I do think that it can be helpful.
Okay, so let's shift gears for just a minute and focus a little bit more on our international attorneys who are considering these degrees. So one of the questions we received was, if I have my Bachelor of Laws or LLB for my home country, can I use the LLM to take a bar examination in the United States?
What was the phrase that Daniel used for every law school exam ever? It depends. So yeah, the truth is that it definitely does depend on the jurisdiction, whether or not your LLB qualified you to be a lawyer in your home country. Technically speaking, an LLB here is a bachelor's degree, and that's not always considered ABA equivalent. So this is definitely a struggle. I tell every student who comes here looking to use an LLM to qualify for a bar exam, you can't just talk to the law school. You also have to go and talk with the bar association where you want to sit for that exam. And you should be talking to them before you apply to us so that you can figure out how your degree will match up.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, because it varies by state. And so for students in California specifically, if you earn an LLB and then take, at least 12 units, which normally students would enroll in the whole LLM, like US legal studies, for example, you have access to courses that, are necessary, for the bar examination. So you really have to, do what Brian is saying, look at the state in which you'd like to try to sit for the bar, and then look at the various schools to see if they even offer the opportunity for you to take any of those foundational classes. Because sometimes the LLM programs that you enter into are not doing that. They really are specializing in a particular area like environmental law, and that won't be sufficient. So you really have to do a lot of research.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the length of these programs. So both for the LLM and the S.J.D, if you guys can sort of explain that a little bit more, whether they're residential or online, how long can students expect to be in these programs? What sort of time commitment is there?
Amber, do you want to go for it? Can we kick it back to you? Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. So I can talk a little bit about it from an international student's perspective. So again, here at Wake, the programs that we offer are mostly focused on international attorneys. Our LLM is typically one academic year, really shakes out to be about 10 months where it is a residential program. And as we've discussed, you can use that degree to qualify for the bar in certain states. Most of our students also take advantage of the work authorization that's provided through their visa to try to work and gain some experience in the US for 1 year after they complete the degree. PhD programs depend. It really typically depends on how fast the student works through that body of work. So we have seen students that take, anywhere from 3 to 5 years to complete that. Most schools do have a cap on how long you can take to finish that dissertation. So it's always important to make note of that. And with PhD programs, you may not need to be at the school all 3 to 5 of those years. Here at Wake, we require 1 year of residency, and then after that, you're free to work on your dissertation from your home country or from elsewhere in the United States if that's more convenient for you. So you might have anything else to add? All right, well, we've got about 15 minutes left. So let's move on and talk a little bit about work opportunities. So when you're in these programs, can you guys tell us a little bit about, whether you can get internships or whether those work opportunities happen more after the program?
Yeah, I think that this is one of the most important questions to ask when you're looking at LLM programs is what kind of career support do you get? Is there a difference between what you're getting and what the JD students are getting? And of course, there's going to be some amount of differences because in general, if you're coming in here to do an LLM, you have your JD already, you already have some career experience, so you don't need as much support. But we have dedicated career advising just for our LLM students. And we try to create networking opportunities that are just for our LLM students. And we keep our class sizes small so that they get as much of an opportunity to talk with career professionals as they possibly can. There's no guarantee. We've talked about who would benefit the most from an LLM. And a lot of times it's not if you're looking to get into a job, it's if you're looking to take that next step. But I think just as important is to see what kind of support that you can get trying to move into a new career.
And before someone else jumps in on this, can you also talk a little bit about the return on investment, right? So if you do an LLM or master's or S.J.D in the US, again, what does that do for work opportunities? And then, ultimately, how do you view that return on investment?
Yeah, there are different categories of students. I wish I knew a little bit more about our audience. I assume most people would be at the front end, meaning just finishing a JD. I mean, if you're a practicing lawyer, some people would come to an LLM, particularly those of us that are kind of offering these professional LLMs that are suited for working professionals. And so basically, let's say I'm a lawyer and I've been doing some tax work, but the sophisticated estate planning projects that come across my desk, I'm farming out. So I'm losing revenue. Same thing with our business transaction. There's complicated M&A arrangements that I'm having to, share with other lawyers. by picking up that skill set, I can now do that work and make the income that I wasn't before. The other category of student, of course, is the one that doesn't have a job. Maybe they just finished the JD and they're trying to position themselves in that way. I guess this is a bit of an aside, but I would suggest for that student that they marshal the degree as a way to help them seek employment. We do have career services as well, but what we've seen, especially with our tax program, is when the potential employee comes to the firm and says, look, I'm interested in this degree, then they'll work with them. They'll pay for courses. Maybe they'll give them a break on billable hours. I will say that, maybe 10 years ago, it was much better. Firms were paying for LLMs entirely flat out. Not so much, we're not seeing that as much anymore, but we are seeing, firms pay for, courses if you get a certain grade, and that kind of thing. So marshal that as well. I mean, again, your return on investment is, I think, tied to, as we've talked about several times, a specific niche that you've decided is marketable. If you specialize in tax, you're going to be able to find work. So you're going to have a return on investment. If you have a more specific type of LLM, I think you got to position yourself in the right market to have that return on investment. We're back to it depends, but you really want to do that research, I think, on the front end. Again, it depends on also, again, the category of student that you are. So.
And I'll add to that is, obviously you have to do your own financial numbers crunching. If you have just come out of a JD program and you have a significant amount of debt, like what additional debt may you incur if you're not able to work with your current firm to help at least pay for some amount of it. But also, keep a spreadsheet, look at the schools that are offering scholarships. We still offer merit-based scholarships for our LLM and S.J.D programs. And on average, they're at least 20 to 30% scholarships, and for some students, even a little bit higher. So that's going to help you with the cost and determining your own, ROI for your own self. So I think that's important to understand that there are still scholarships available for some of these programs that'll help you. But, on the flip side, you might be in a place to say, I'm not really worried about it. So how long will it take for me to finish? And can I pay, out of pocket? We have students that do that as well. And mostly they tend to gravitate towards the tax programs. But for our international students, it's really important to also look into things like Fulbright and other international organizations or their home countries, because sometimes they'll fund the legal education as well, at least part of it. So you have to look at all different areas to make that happen.
Yeah, Paulette brings up a really interesting point that the investment is not just about money, it's also about time. So you got to make sure that you're asking exactly how long it's going to take for you to complete the degree, what kind of scholarships a program can offer, what kind of support are you going to get in career planning after you graduate. I do think that the ROI that you'll see sometimes with some niche programs where you aren't involved in the field may take a couple of years to show up. But if you are in the field, you may see that ROI come back the very next year or 2 years when it comes time to talk about raises, bonuses, if you're getting that training. I get some students who come in non-degree status looking to just take a couple of extra classes in a subject to get some of that additional training. That can also turn around a good ROI.
I think you also have to look at the job experience or career experiences you're going to have while you're in school. And some of that for international students that can be limited by visa status. So that's an important thing to focus on. Will you be able to take paid internships, paid clerkships, all that sort of stuff? Looking at what eligibility will you have to participate in clinics, things like that, which is more school specific. If you want the experience in a business law clinic or a tax clinic, you want to find out about LLM student availability as well. I mean, in most case, programs are trying to be as widely serving the LLM students as much as possible, but it's certainly something to inquire, because it's not just about the post-grad opportunities, it's also about the experience and the skill building you'll actually be doing while you're enrolled.
All right, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we don't go over. If anyone has any other questions, please throw them into the chat right now. But I think to close us out, what I would love to hear from our panelists is Just some kind of final parting words. If somebody is really thinking about doing an LLM or an S.J.D or a master's degree in law, what should they be thinking about long term, and you know, how should they get that process started?
My final parting words are, you still have to keep track of which schools require you to apply through the Law School Admissions Council and which ones will allow you to submit their own institutional application. That will help you organize better in terms of the length of time it might take for you to gather materials and send them either separately to schools or through LSAC, which has the credential assembly service. And so they kind of collect all the data and then you buy a packet and send it to a school. That can be time consuming. I think people don't always understand the amount of time it takes to actually apply to the programs if you're applying to multiple programs. Many of us will also ask for a statement of interest or a personal essay. So now you have to think about what words you're going to put on paper to explain why you'd like to matriculate at that particular school. So just remember the time in preparation before you even get to the program.
I guess my parting advice would be to encourage you to work backwards again. Like we've been saying, start with, what do you want to do? You know, because if you're miserable, it doesn't really matter what LLM you have. So what do you want to do? Is it going to make you some money? And then look at the programs and decide again, is the amount of program that I'm going to have, the money I'm going to have to put in this program worth my ROI, and then back up from there. I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add to that, get on some mailing lists. I don't know about you guys. We send out mail almost every single day to different groups of students who are looking to apply. You will find that there will be events. You can go meet faculty. I absolutely love when I get to see a faculty member at the school who wrote us a recommendation letter. It can only help your application. Definitely, you know, reach out to us, get on our mailing lists, find out about our events, show up for some additional webinars, and come meet us in person.
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
think-
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Eric. I thought of one other thing I wanted to mention. Be careful about your upfront investments as well. So if you know it's the LM that you want and you're going to join a residence program, then that's good. But if you're unsure, then some of these online options are more attractive because you can withdraw, right? I mean, like Brian was saying, we offer that too. You know, what happens if I take the personal income tax and I change my mind? Well, you're out the cost of 2 credit hours. That's it. You know, not your moving expenses, the job you had to give up. Again, we talked about before, I'm not putting down residential programs because there is something that they offer that you're not getting from distance, but you know, plan accordingly, I guess. Sorry.
No, it's a great point. My parting words would be about due diligence. And I think the due diligence is not just on the particular school. You're listening to us. I would talk to as many people as possible. So when students come ask me for general career advice, I'm like, I can give you my impressions of the Detroit market, having been here for 25 years, but that's just one person. You should be talking to lots and lots of people and gathering as much data as possible so you can make as well-informed decision as possible. It's still going to be somewhat anecdotal, and you're going to have to go with your gut and things like that. And that's fine, but you don't want to do it having talked to, you know, one person or listen to just a couple.
So it sounds like we're all in agreement, right? Do your research, plan ahead, and really think about, you know, why you want to do this degree and, you know, long-term, how it's going to help you meet your goals. So I think we've gone through a lot of information today. We really do appreciate everyone who attended. Just a reminder that throughout the day, there will be other sessions as part of this conference, and you will have an opportunity to talk with individual law schools, including all of us later today. So I think from all of us, thank you so much. And Sophia, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. We appreciate the information that you were able to share today with all of the attendees. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and share a video that just introduced some of the schools that will be available during the Q&A time from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. So just give me 1 second as I share my screen and we will watch that.
Hi, I'm here with Julie DiBiasio, Director of Graduate Studies and Professional Development at Cleveland Marshall School of Law. Hi, Julie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell us a little about the LLM degrees offered at the law school?
Yes, so at CSU's Cleveland Marshall College of Law, we offer a general LLM degree, which allows our students, which are both domestic and international, to concentrate in an area of their interest. We also offer a bar preparation track for international students who wish to practice law in the United States.
And is there anything unique about any of the degree programs that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, so our LLM students have access to our award-winning Academic Support Center and bar preparation courses, which are especially helpful for the students who are on the bar preparation track. We also have unique concentrations in areas such as cybersecurity and data privacy, space law, criminal law, international law, anything that any LLM student may be interested in.
Great. And so most times with graduate studies, there's this question of timing. When is the right time? Is there a right time? What advice do you have about this?
That's a great question, and I get this a lot from our prospective students. And what we tell them and what we see mostly from our applicants is most LLM students come with several years of work experience. And this really helps them determine what to concentrate in, whether they're staying within that same field or changing careers into a different field. Having some experience behind you really helps you make that decision and makes your experience overall in the LLM program much better.
Why should a prospective student choose Cleveland Marshall School of Law?
So if you're an LLM student looking for a program that customizes a degree to fit your needs and your interests, offers one-on-one academic advising and support, plus provides students with many out-of-the-classroom, real-world experiences to enrich their studies, such as our annual conferences and events in cybersecurity and data privacy, space law, health law, and so much more, then CM Law is the right place for you. And we do also offer generous scholarships.
Great, thank you. And so if you'd like more information on Cleveland Marshall School of Law's offerings, you can visit their virtual booth. Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much.
Introducing you to David Dye, Assistant Dean of Graduate Programs at Texas A&M University School of Law. Hi, David. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Can you give us a brief overview of the LLM degrees offered at Texas A&M?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that might be interested in taking a general course of study, we have our general LLM program, which for those that are educated abroad could actually open up the potential of sitting for some bar exams here in the US. Outside of that, we have an intellectual property LLM degree. It's consistently, our intellectual property program here is consistently ranked in the top 10 in the country for IP lawyers by US News and World Report. And we have some of the top legal scholars in the country in that area. Then in addition, we actually have some great opportunities for online education in our LLM program. So we have a program in international taxation, another in risk management, and a final opportunity in wealth management. So pretty good group of degree options.
And those are specifically offered online only?
Those final three are. The first two, the general program and the intellectual property program, are offered here in our Fort Worth campus.
Great. And is there anything that's unique about any of the programs that you wanted to mention?
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, so with the online programs, obviously what is unique is that you can participate from anywhere across the country or across the world. We have hundreds of online students here, students who participate in our distance education and hybrid programs. So it's an opportunity, I think, for some who just can't take time off to come here and attend full time on campus in Fort Worth. Something else that's really unique, just more generally about Texas A&M and our law school, is the A&M core values. This is something that's really important to Aggies, to our alum. We focus on things here like value, or rather we value respect, excellence, leadership, loyalty, integrity, and selfless service. All of those values are also prized by the legal profession. So I think we're helping to set up attorneys for their future.
Great. And leading into that, why should a prospective student choose Texas A&M for a graduate law program?
Yeah, thank you. There's a number of reasons. First, I would say that A&M is among the most affordable public universities out there. You guys, National Jurist, published a list of the most affordable colleges. I know that deals more specifically with the J.D. program, or law schools, that is, but we're consistently ranked at best value in that area. Students who receive a $1,000 competitive scholarship also qualify here for a non-resident tuition waiver, so they get their out-of-state tuition waived in the LLM program if they qualify for a $1,000 competitive scholarship, which can be quite a savings for students coming in from outside of the state of Texas. Not only are we affordable, we have this is one of the largest public universities in the United States, and so we have one of the largest networks in the United States. The Aggie network here is over 500,000 strong at this point, so it's an excellent resource for individuals who've come to school here in Texas A&M. A couple other things. We are located here in the heart of Dallas-Fort Worth. I actually found out this morning that Fort Worth is currently, as of, I guess, very recently, the fastest growing city in the United States, surpassing our good friends in Austin. So it's a great opportunity for individuals looking for a growing area. In addition, it is the #1 area in the country for job growth, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So just a massively growing area. 24 of the Fortune 500 companies are here in Fort Worth. So it's a great place. And then the final thing I think maybe more important to the students, like to your student experience, is that our LLM program is a relatively small program. We have about 20 to 30 students a year. So it's a really tight-knit, supportive community with dedicated staff here that are specifically here to help with the needs of the LLM students in our school. And in addition to that, the final thing I'll say is that our LLM students are taught here alongside our JD students. And so I know especially for those students who are coming in from outside of the US, it's really important for them to get to network and know some of their fellow students on the JD side.
Great, thank you. And
Absolutely.
So if you'd like to know more information on Texas A&M's offerings, you can visit their virtual booth, which is going to be during the 3 p.m. Eastern hour. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm here with Clemence Kuchera, Assistant Dean of Graduate Online and International Programs at University of the Pacific McGeorge School of Law. Thanks you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us a brief overview of the LLM programs offered at McGeorge School of Law?
Yes, of course. So we have 3 LLM programs. One is in transnational business practice. Another one is in U.S. law and policy. And our third one is in water and environmental law. So I'm going to start with water and environmental law. It's one of our programs that you can do either in person or remotely. You have the options. It's obviously like for students who are interested in developing in-depth expertise in this particular field. You can specialize in either domestic, so American water and environmental law, or in international. So we call that our international track. Or of course, you can do a little bit of mix of both. Our U.S. law and policy is very much for those who intend to take a bar exam in the United States, as well as for those who wants to have more of a general LLM, U.S. law-based LLM program. And this LLM program is only open to international students and foreign attorneys. And lastly, so our LLM in transnational business practice is, as the name explains, it says it all. It's for those who are interested in the international business world. And with this program, you can also take classes to be eligible to take a bar exam in the United States. It is open to both domestic and international students.
Okay. Is there anything that's unique about any of the degree programs?
So I think with the 3 programs, the first thing that I think is unique, although I'm sure some other law schools do offer something similar, but you're able to do an externship or an internships in either of those programs, which I think is key to develop a good and to gain like practical skills, like American practical legal skills. We also have a very large number of experiential courses that one can take in either of those programs. We also have programs that are set up so that if you're an international student, you can take a couple of classes with just your international cohort, with the international students cohort, and then you take other classes mixed with the JD students. which obviously it requires someone wanting to do that, wanting to be immersed, in American legal education. But I think it's a wonderful way to really have a comprehensive, to gain so much from your LLM program.
And why should a prospective student choose McGeorge School of Law?
Why? Well, our program, as I mentioned, have the extension. So I think it's key. And we have a strong emphasis on practical skills. We also have a curriculum that is set up to be tailored for each student. So you can customize it to meet your own career goals. And it's very rare that we have, two LLM students with the exact same background and the exact same career goals. Everyone comes with different backgrounds and different career goals, whether it is practice internationally, going back home, stay in the US, staying in US for only a couple of years, yada, yada. You get the gist of the variance. With the LLM programming research, we have a personalized approach. We meet individually with each of our students to build the best course of study for them to meet their career goals. And secondly, I would say our location. We're in Sacramento, California, the capital of a beautiful state and a very powerful state, whether you want to practice international or, again, domestic law. It's regardless, we're in a unique situation because we're the only American bar accredited law school in Sacramento.
Great. Thank you. So if you'd like more information on McGeorge School of Law's offerings, you can visit their virtual booth that will be open throughout this time or at the 3 p.m. hour. Thank you.
I look forward to meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you. We're here with James Simmermeyer, Assistant Director of Admissions, and Fred Brown, Director of the Graduate Tax Law Program at the University of Baltimore School of Law. Thank you for joining us.
Sure, our pleasure.
So the University of Baltimore's graduate program is an integrated learning opportunity where attorneys and accountants learn alongside each other in the pursuit of their LLM and taxation. Fred, can you give us just a brief overview of the graduate tax program? Is there anything unique about the program that you'd want to share?
Sure. Well, I'll just give us just an overview and I'll point out what I think are some unique things. So, we have a rigorous program of tax courses, as do a lot of other programs. And that includes courses in fundamental areas, such as basic tax, corporate tax, partnership tax, tax procedure, tax research and writing, and tax policy. We also have a rich menu of electives, and those in the areas of estate planning, state taxes, international tax, qualified retirement plans. And we also offer externships to students, and also the possibility of taking our low-income taxpayer clinic. As far as our faculty, quite experienced and I think expert, and it includes full-time folks like myself, prominent practitioners in the Baltimore, DC region, as well as IRS officials. And we've always tried to have some connection with the U.S. tax court. So we will usually have a tax court judge who will be teaching, say, every other semester or so. As far as our classes, so one thing I think is somewhat unique is, well, we offer classes in the evenings only, trying to be flexible to students, who have other things to do, full-time jobs, family duties. All of our classes are offered both in person and simulcast online via Zoom. And I think maybe is a little different about our program is that all online students have the ability to interact in real time with both faculty and other students. So I know other schools have online programs, but I'm not sure they all have the ability for the remote students to interact in real time. Another thing about our program, which is not necessarily unique, but it is somewhat unusual, and that is that we are a joint program with our University of Baltimore Business School. So we offer both an LLM in tax for lawyers and an MS in tax for accountants. And that allows for lawyers and accountants to be in the same classes together and to interact. We try to be affordable. So right now our current tuition is a little over $1,000 a credit with some additional fees as well. But we are conscious about being affordable to all students. And just two other features just to mention. So we do have the availability of advanced credits for courses taken at the JD level. So students can receive up to 15 advanced credits towards their LLM based on their JD curriculum. And then finally, we also have a certificate in estate planning, and students can actually earn that in conjunction with the LLM in tax. That is those who want to specialize in estate planning.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And James, for the application process, what will a prospective student need to be able to apply to the program?
Like Fred mentioned, our program is really designed for professionals. And so we've tried to make it as streamlined, as simple and as flexible as possible. The requirements are a completed application form and an official transcript from their JD or LLB issuing institution. In terms of the completed application form, we have an online form that's very easy to access and fill out on our school website. They can go to law.uvault.edu/LLM tax, and they can find the information there. And if anybody has already established an account with LSAC, they can also apply through LSAC. There are no fees associated if they apply directly through our online form. And then if they apply through LSAC, any of the regular fees that are associated with that process are there. The preferred but not required documents are also a personal statement, a CV or resume, and a letter of recommendation. But again, those are not required for a complete application. And then also, I just want to also mention why that official transcript is important, not only for being able to review the credentials of the student, but also the applicant, but also because if any JD classes that qualify were taken within the past 5 years, and the student had a B or above in that class, those advanced credits can be put towards their degree, shortening the amount of time they have to be in the program, but still receive the quality education that we have here at UV. If there's any questions about the process or about the program, anybody is always free to contact me through the website where all of our information is listed. Yeah.
Great. And are there any other graduate offerings that you guys would like to highlight? I know you mentioned the estate planning, but is there anything else?
For any foreign trained lawyers, we do have our strong LLM Law of the United States program. And so, yes, if anybody knows any foreign trained law attorneys that are looking to advance their legal education, we have 2 tracks in that program. The first track is the U.S. practice track, which will guarantee that any student who completes that program will be able to take the bar exam in most states. And then for any other state where it's not a guarantee, usually that's a pretty simple process with only a few tweaks to the curriculum. And then an elective track, so any foreign trained attorneys that really want to get specific information on a certain topic of law, such as business law, environmental law, they can take classes specifically in those courses. So yes, that's another great program that we offer, and another great opportunity.
And so if you'd like any more information on these offerings, you can visit the University of Baltimore School of Law's virtual booth. That's going to be in the 3 p.m. Eastern hour. But thank you guys.
Great. Thank you very much, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm here with Hui Wan Jackson. She is the Associate Director of Admissions at DePaul University College of Law. Hi, Hui Lan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Can you please give us just a brief overview of the LLM degrees that DePaul offers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer 5 LLM programs at DePaul Law. Most of it is 24 credit hours, which can be completed in 1 year full-time or up to 5 years part-time. The programs are health law, intellectual property law, international law, with options to choose from 4 concentrations, including business, commercial, trade law, human rights, and governance and rule of law, as well as cultural heritage law. In addition to those three, we also have taxation law and U.S. legal studies for those that graduated from foreign law schools.
Great. And is there anything that's unique about the degree programs that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say it's really the flexibility. The LLM students have full access to choose from our advanced law classes. And depending on which program they're in, externship opportunities, legal clinics, study abroad programs, independent study, all you can think of, those offerings are accessible to LLM students. So I would say the main purposes that many are pursuing LLM is for either expand one's knowledge in one area of law, or maybe considering a career transition in a new area of law, or those that want to pursue legal academia. So all those, you would find opportunities that would serve those purposes.
Great. And why would you, or why would a prospective law student choose DePaul?
I think it really depends on what a student is looking for. Obviously, you know, everybody has the best fit for them. Not all the law schools are the best fit for everybody. So we are located right in downtown. Actually, the background you see is where our law school is located. We are located in the Loop campus in Chicago, right by the major subways and public transportations. So I think that says two things. One is it's very accessible for those that are interested in expanding their career, making connections in Chicago as a major legal hub. But our alumni network is also really strong and supportive as well. So our curriculum offerings are flexible, and our faculty staff are willing to work with you to really help you succeed in your career. So I would say those are what would someone find DePaul appealing. But I would say in order to really find out if DePaul's LLM is the right fit for you, I would really invite prospective students to attend our open house programs. We offer 2 open houses a year. The first one in November is actually happening next Saturday. You can register online on our website. It is hybrid modality, which means you can either join in person or online.
Great. Well, thank you. And if you'd like more information on DePaul's offerings, you can visit law.depaul.edu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, introducing you to Maureen Leo, Director of American Law Program at Boston University School of Law. Hi, Maureen. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
Can you give us a brief overview of the LLM degrees offered at Boston University?
Yes, happy to. Thank you so much. So we have 5 LLM degrees. The first LLM degree is really part of a 2-year program. So for students who don't feel entirely confident with their English, that would like another year in America before starting their LLM program, we offer a legal English certificate program, which allows you to fine-tune your English language skills prior to matriculating to an LLM program. Our 4 general LLM programs, though, are where the majority of our students attend. The largest is the American Law Program, which is a generalized field of study. And then we have 3 specialized programs in tax, intellectual property, and banking and financial law.
And is there anything unique about any of the degree programs?
They're all unique in their own ways. So the American Law Program is our largest program, and that has been established for a long time. We have alumni, 24,000 alumni all over the country from the law school, and in of every state in the country, as well as over 100 countries. We also have in the American Law Program between about 150 and 180 students. It's a really nice size. You can take a generalized course of study, and you have over 200 courses to choose from. So students can take classes in LLM only curriculum, or you can take classes with J.D. students. In contrast, the Banking and Financial Law Program is a specialized program. It is the only one of its kind in the country. So if your passion and interest are in banking and financial services, then the Banking and Financial Law Program is an excellent program for you. It is taught generally by adjunct faculties who are practitioners within the field and offers a robust and engaged way to learn about banking and financial services. The tax program is only for those who love tax, but if you love tax, it is one of the second oldest tax program in the country and has been well regarded as a leader in tax innovation for the entirety of its history. It is directed by Christina Rice, who herself is a J.D. graduate of the university, as well as an LL.M graduate. She then was a partner at Ernst & Young, and then came on back to academia, where she both taught and is now a director. So those are banking, tax, and American law. And the final one is our tiniest program, that's intellectual property. And intellectual property generally has no more than 6 students. And it's geared for students who have an impressive and deep knowledge of intellectual property, supplemented by work experience prior to coming. Now, the American Law program is the broadest because it allows you to take classes in all of these programs. And we also offer concentrations in intellectual business, intellectual property, international business, as well as tax. So you can take classes from every program in order to diversify and personalize your particular academic schedule.
Great, thank you. And why should a prospective student choose Boston University?
Well, you should definitely choose it, and not because of this very awkward conversation I'm having with you, talking into my computer, telling you about our amazing university. But you should come here for a number of reasons. The first of which is you're not a number at BU. You are someone that we treasure. And we do that by providing individual academic advising to all of our students. It's very important that you find the right classes and the right fit. And you'll find those classes with the right fit at the top rated faculty in the United States. Our faculty members are all academicians, they're researchers, they're people who are well known in their field, but they don't get hired here unless they like their students and they know how to teach. In addition to that, the university is housed in Boston. Boston is the intellectual capital of the United States. If you are young and you are smart, you belong right here, because this is where people come from all over the world to study. Now, if you look behind me, and I'm going to duck out of the frame, you will see a view from my window. Now, this isn't a professional photograph. This is something I took with my iPhone from my office window. And in Boston, we are a safe, livable, historic, walkable city that is unique in American cities because it is accessible everywhere by train, subway, or foot. And we can enjoy a natural environment while still enjoying all of the beauty and possibilities that happen in a rich urban setting. So it's a very special place to be. And that's attested to by our 24,000 alumni that are around the world who've graduated from the law school, who then pay it forward, because we're more than a school, really a community. And we look for candidates who can contribute to the vital and dynamic community that we have here.
Thank you. So if you'd like more information on Boston University School of Law's offerings, you can visit their virtual booth. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Again, some of those schools and more will be available from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How you'll get to those schools is by clicking on the left-hand side of the website. It'll show the tab exhibitor, and you'll click that and it'll show all of the schools, and you'll enter the school. And if they are available and have a representative there, you'll see a button over the image that says live or join, and you'll be able to speak to a representative that way. Again, thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you at our next session starting in about 20 minutes.